Pick the topic of EICHA, a reality check, because sometimes we get very caught up with our own lives, and really Tish is a time for us to step back and really to see where we are, where we're holding. So that's what Megillah EICHA is really all about. It's recognizing where we are and where we maybe should be. So I'm going to start with a little, maybe a little drush for those that are into that, and then we'll get into the heart. So if you see in the first, I have a pasuk in Yeshayahu, Va'ata koyama Hashem, Racha Yaakov, Tzvecha Yisrael. This is what Hashem said, the one that created you, Yaakov. Altira, do not be afraid, ki ge'alticha karasi b'shem chali ata. You belong to me. That's pasuk Aleph. This psukim are actually in the Haftarah in Bereshis. We learn it once a year. And the next pasuk says like this: Ki savar b'mayim, if you are passing through water, itcha ani, I am with you. B'naharais, and in the rivers, lo yishtafucha, they will not drown you. Ki seilach b'mayesh, if you will go, when you will go, through a fire, lo yisichva, you will not be burnt. V'lahava, and a flame, lo yisivabach, will not burn you. This is very appropriate today, when our brothers are going through fire, and we pray that they should not be touched. But this is actually a pasuk in Yeshaya. And this pasuk, if you go down to reference 2, is the source for this that we say V'hu Racham in davening every Monday and Thursday. And there's a story here, I'll say it over in English. This story is brought down in many Rishonim, and in different ways, slightly different variations. But I'm going through the Kolboy, who was a Rishon, and he brings a story as follows. He says there was a story, this was after the destruction of Yerushalayim, and they were going, people were being sent out. So there were people on a ship, Besfinta di Hudai, calls it a Jewish boat, it had Jewish passengers in it, the Asi Megalusa di Yerushalayim, and it went to a place where there was this general. It landed on some shore, and the general says, "From where are you?" So they said, "We're from the Jewish nation." So he said, "Oh, is that so? If you're from Yehudai, if you're from the Jews, let me test you. Let me test you to see if you're really from Jewish stock." Just like Hanani, Mishael, and Azariah was tested, that they were thrown into a fire. So they said, wait a second, we're going to throw them into a fire to test them if they come out alive, if they're Jewish. Give us 3 days. So they said, give us 3 days. And they sat betinus, and every day they made up among themselves that whoever has a dream, I guess a dream of significance, will say it over to the others. So they sat in tinus, and on the 3rd day, there was Chad Saba, there was an elderly fellow, the Dochel Chatan, he was a Yirei Chet. But he wasn't a Talmud Chacham, he was just he had fear of God. So he says, Chamina b'chalmai, I saw in my dream, the Iku Chad Pasik. He wasn't a Talmud Chacham, so he couldn't remember the Pasik. But he said there was a Pasik that was read to me that has in it 2 keys, says key twice in the Pasik, and 3 times loy. Okay, there's a trivia test, you know. It has a pasuk with Bereshis in it. I think we don't know what it is. But a pasuk that has 2 times ki and 3 times loy was shown to him in a dream. Mahi. So Omlei Chad Saba Hakima, one of the wise men, says, "Oh, I know which pasuk it is. It's this pasuk. Ki save b'mayim itcha ani. Ki save b'mayim. When you go in the water, I am with you. B'naharis lo yishtafucha. Kiselech b'mayesh loy sichva, you will not be burned. V'lohava loy sivabach. So he said, Avada, it's a simon min hashamayim, and they went. They made this general made a large fire, and the people that went through, the fire, I don't know exactly how it is, split to 3 parts, and 3 tzaddikim were makabel on themselves to go through, or they sent a Saba through, and the 3 went to greet them, and each one of these 3 tzaddikim made up one. There are 3 paragraphs in the V'hurachim, and each one of these tzaddikim made up one of those paragraphs. That's the medrash. The first one said V'hurachim and Ted ad Ona Melech Racham Chanan. The second one said Ein Kamoicha until Ein Kamoicha, and the third one said the last part. And this is the 3 parts of V'hurachim that we have today. Very nice. So the V'hurachim is actually one of the most beautiful tefillas. It's unfortunate that it's at the end of Shemoneh Esrei, everyone's in a rush to get out, and it's almost a simcha when there's something going on and you could skip it. But this tefillah was mesukin for the nation when Golus and all the tzaros that they go through, that it's a kapara. It was a kapara. It's a sign of rachamim that the Rebbeinu Shalom is closely together with us. Now, I heard this from Rav Schlesinger. He explains, what is this that the guy saw, this fellow saw? It says in the pasuk, 2 times ki, 3 times loy. I mean, it's cute, but what's the significance of that to the pasuk and to the story of Urachim? I could have said he saw in the pasuk the word eish, and lahava. He saw in the pasuk 2 times ki and 3 times loy. What is the significance in the word ki and loy? And it's almost like a play on words here, because we're coming to this week's parsha, Eila Dvarim. Eila Dvarim. Now, there's a sefer called Paneach Rosa. And Paneach Rosa, he, Kashmoi Kainhu, he uncovers, I don't have it on the source sheet, but he uncovers many of the secrets that are hidden in the psukim. And he says from the word Elah, like a whole slew of things. I'll just give you an example. It says 6 times Elah in the 6 parshiyos start with the letter Aleph. Elah Tolos Noach, Elah Pekudei, Mechukei Seitelechu, Elah Maseh, Elah Dvarim, Atem Nitzavim. That's connected the Shisha Sidrei Mishnah. Okay? That Moshe Rabbeinu also taught. Elu Advarim Ashadiba, that Moshe spoke to the Bnei Yisrael. He taught them besides the Torah Shebeksav, Torah Shebal Peh. Aleph means Aleph, to learn, to teach you. Lamed, Limud, means to teach. Limud. Hey is the Chamisha Chumsei Torah. Says Limud is Aleph, maybe is Torah Shebeksav, Limud is Torah Shebal Peh. He goes through the gematria of Eila is Lamed Vav, which is the 36 Masechtas. It's a question how many Masechtas it is, but Halichas Olam Loi is 36. There are 36 Masechtas that there's Gemara on, so that includes the Gemara besides the Mishnayos. The word Eila encompasses in that word the learning, the Torah, the Musar, Lamed Vav Krisus. It's remez on the beliefs and the learning of Klal Yisrael. Now, there's a very similar word. It has the same gematria. It's the word EICHA. EICHA, Yoshva Badad. EICHA, we have a few times EICHA in the Torah. EICHA is the same word, except instead of a lamed, there's a chaf and a yud. A chaf and a yud, the Shem Shmuel says, if you take a lamed, it's really a chaf. A lamed is a chaf, and there's a vav on top. It's a chavav, it's the gematria of the Shem Hashem. It's a chaf and a vav on top. That's what it refers to. That's a lamed. If you hack it, you cut off, you take a piece off, you take off the connection between the yud and the chaf, you take it off the connection, you're left with ki. You knock off the connection, you're left with a yud and a chaf, and you're left with ki. EICHA. The difference between Eila and EICHA is the Lamed is the Yud and the Kaf. We're disconnected. We're disconnected from Shalom, a little drush. Look in the Pasuk. The Shem Shmuel says this on the Pasuk. Mordechai Pshat. He says it on the Pasuk in Bereshis. I have it here on the source sheet. The first sin that ever happened to man was instigated by the Nachash. By the Nachash HaKadmoni, the first snake. And he said, Vayomer le'isha af ki omer elikim. Even if Hashem said, Lo yisoichlu mikol eitz hagan, but nothing's going to happen to you. Af, what's missing in the Aleph? The Lamed. Aleph means to learn. You take out the limud, you're left with Af, ki. Af, ki. You cause doubts. Person has doubts. Person is not clear. He has doubts. That's the place. Once a person starts having speakers and having doubts, that's when he starts falling. Af ki yomer elikim. What did Hashem say to Adam Harishon? He came looking to him. Ayeka. Vayikra Hashem elikim al Adam vayomer Ayeka. Where are you? Ayeka. Where are you? The chesaron from a chait is that we lose where the person is. Rebbe Shalom is still there. Where are you? Where are you holding? Are you ready and able in order to we call shteltzu, to apply yourself to the Rebbe Shalom? So what I'd like to discuss here, after that introduction, I would like to discuss the churban, what it really is a churban on where are we. It's not a churban on where is the Rebbe Shalom. Rabbi Chatzkel Levenstein used to say like this. He used to say that sometimes it's easier for us to feel something which is gashmius. We feel things that are related to us, our gufim, our bodies. We feel. We see someone in pain. We're in pain. We can feel that pain. If someone's hurt. We see someone's poor. We feel the pain. You see someone that's maybe not doing mitzvahs. We don't feel pain as much. In our minds, we understand it's not such a good thing, but we don't feel the pain. It's not the same level, Sometimes it hits us. We see an intermarriage, it gives us a stab. But it's harder for us to feel the pain on something which is ruchnius than rather than is gashmius. That's what he says. Amunah, it's easy to have it in the head. But vashivois elovecha, to feel it, to be margish, that's a very difficult thing. That's a work of a lifetime. That's ayeka. Where are you? When Adam Harishon, before he did the sin, he was living in Gan Eden. He was Adam Ruchni. He felt Ruchnius. He knew there was a knowledge of physicality. There was a knowledge of it. But what he knew and felt, really had a feeling of, was Ruchnius. As soon as he ate from the Eitz Hadas, he fell, and then, Ayeka, where are you? He's not here anymore. Where did he go? Where's Adam? Where is he? So it's in the person. The destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, the Maral explains, we're going to see the Maral later, more insight, but just as a brief overview, the Maral explains is a destruction in the person. Rebbe Shalom is not a question, is he living in the Beis HaMikdash, should he leave, is he here, is he there? The question is he by us? When Shachanti b'Seicham, when Rebbe Shalom has a connection, when there's a connection with the person, then the Beis HaMikdash could be here. But when by the person it's nechrav, if it's destroyed within the person, if he's not holding by it, then the Beis HaMikdash automatically goes. The Sefer EICHA was written years before the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. Yirmiyah wrote it down as EICHA, and he learned it, and he was persecuted for it. Nobody wanted to hear it. But EICHA was written down. It wasn't Nevuah. Okay, there's a Navi gets up and says Yerushalayim will be destroyed. EICHA is written as if it already happened. EICHA Yoshua Badada was a Nevuah as if it already happened, and it was written down as if it already happened. The pshat is because it already happened. The destruction already took place. Gemara says it was a biased tchina, was already ground up house that was burnt. It was a biasness of those burnt. It already happened. The churban happened. The churban happened with the level and the averis or the situation that Klal Yisrael was. It already happened. It was just playing itself out when it happened, the destruction later. So I would like to go through this Gemara in B'Sach Yuma, a fascinating Gemara which all of us might know, but there's but it needs an explanation nonetheless. The Gemara says, it's in source number 3, Mikdash Rishon Mipnei Ma Charav. Why was the first base of Mikdash destroyed? So it says, Three Averis, cardinal Averis, Avodah Zarah, Gilui Arayis, Shvichas Damim. These are the 3 Averis which are Yehareg Val Yavar. Okay, we understand that. The first temple was destroyed. The Gemara says, Mikdash Sheni, the Gemara says that we knew them. When the Gemara was the Tanoim, they knew the people in the Mikdash Sheni. We knew that they weren't doing these Averis. Why was it destroyed? Why was it destroyed? The Gemara says, by sinas chinam. They had sinas chinam. See, sinas chinam is just as bad as the 3 sins of Avodah Zarah, Gilui Arayis, Shvichas Damim. Okay, it's the first step of the Gemara. Zok the Gemara weiter. Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Elazar, Amar Tavayu, Rishonim sheniskala avoinam. The Rishonim, the earlier people of the first Beis Hamikdash, that their sins were clear and open. Niskala kitzam, it was clear the end. 70 years, they were back. Achroinim, the second people of the second Beis Hamikdash, shaloi niskala avoinam. It wasn't revealed their sins. Loi niskala kitzam, their end was not revealed. Not only was it not revealed, it's 2,000 years. Now this is a fascinating Gemara. The Gemara actually, I skipped a few lines here in the Gemara, but the Gemara actually speaks out that which is worse? Which is worse? Avodah Zarah, Gilui Arayis, Shvichas Damim, or sinas chinam. Here we have killing people. Shvichas Damim. So one thing, I hate the guy, I have to kill him. Shvichas Damim, 70 years they're out. And here we have sinas chinam, and it's so long. So we see it's worse. But what's the pshat? So the Goin says that the difference was, one was an Aveira on the outside, it was an Aveira in action, and one was a sin in Midos, in where the person is holding, in his Midos. Now before I get back to the Goin, it's a fascinating Goin. I couldn't print the Goin because my machine wasn't working well, but I did manage to get out the Shara Kedusha of Reb Chaim Vital. Reb Chaim Vital was a Talmud of Arizal, and he wrote a Musa Sefer. It wasn't really a Musa Sefer, it was a Sefer how a person could reach Ruach HaKodesh. So if you want to get to Ruach HaKodesh, you read that Sefer. So he starts off in the beginning, this is in Shara Sheni, about Midos. And he asked a famous question, how come it doesn't say a mitzvah of Midos in the Torah, it only has a mitzvah of all the actual mitzvahs, but Midos are not in the Torah. And he says, because the Midos are totally, he calls it like this, the Midos are mutbois ba'adam b'nefesh hashfola. The Midos are in the etzem of the mensch, of the person. The mitzvahs are on top of that. If you have a person, you can do the mitzvahs. And he says, according to the amount, the person says, achonis ikriyas al tarig mitzvahs. They're the preparation to do the mitzvahs, b'kiyum maybe betulam. Ki ein koyach b'nefesh hasichlos l'kayim ha-mitzvah tarig mitzvahs v'aguf el b'emtsois nefesh ha-yisoidus. You have to have the mechanism in order to do the mitzvahs. And the mechanism is a person with his midas. And therefore he says, in amidas harois koshim, they're more difficult than averis atzman me'oid ma'oid. If you go down to the second paragraph, he says, Ki yoyse tzarech l'zel midas rois yoyse menakim mitzvah seva. I say ki be yoyse bal midas toives benakal yikayim kol mitzvahs. You know, sometimes we wake up in the morning, it's hard for us to do a mitzvah. The reason why it might be hard, it doesn't go by itself. Eating and drinking, there's a song, a Yiddish song, that Es and Esech, Schlaf and Schlafzich, eating goes by itself. You don't have to put any effort into it. Drinking goes by itself. Come to a mitzvah, it doesn't happen automatically. But the source of that isn't in the person's nefesh. According to how much he perfects his midas, according to that, how easy it will be to do the mitzvahs, and more difficult it is, to do an avera. How much he perfects himself. But if he has midas rice, it goes automatically the averas. So the Goin says, that's what he says. He's Ma'arich on it, but I'm out of time here. So the Goin says that the difference between the first mikdash and the second mikdash is this difference. In the first mikdash, the people themselves were wholesome people. They got caught in averis. The Yetzer Hara was greater than them, so they got caught in averis. But the people were wholesome, so it was much more easy for them to do tshuva. He says a fascinating thing to go, and I wasn't able to copy it off, but I'll just give a little bit over to you. I wonder what I did with it here. Yeah. So he says like this. He says that we know that the Golasin, the 4 Golasin, are compared to the Gomel, Aneves, Shafin. The Gemara says there are 4 Behema Tameis. The Gemara counts off. There's 2 Simonim to have a kosher animal, right? There's Ma'al, that's what you eat, and there's Mafresis Parsa, which is the hoofs. So the Goin explains beautifully. I don't have time to go through it fully. But Mali Geira is an internal organism. You eat it. The animal eats and it regurgitates and eats it again and again. And Geira, he explains, refers to a stopkus, that it's satisfied with what he has. He eats what he needs and that keeps him going the whole day. It's a satisfaction. That's Mali Geira. He explains where he gets that from. But that's me, the stopkus. Esrim Geira Shekel, Esrim Ma. Geira means a Ma. Ma is Dalet Isrin, and that's how much a person needs to live a day. Geira represents the internal organism. The Mafresis Parsa, that's the external. A simon of a bird that's tamei, the Gemara says doirus. A bird that's tamei is doirus. What? Tramples. It tramples. It attacks with its nails, and it goes in. That's a simon of a oif tamei. That's an external thing. And the first Golasin were compared to a Gomel and Aneves Shafin, which internally they're Malus Geira, the Gemara says. They're Mala Geira. But externally, they didn't have the Simonim, the Doirus. Those are the first Golasin. Because Klal Yisrael mirrored where Klal Yisrael was holding. The Golas of Esau, which he says is Shmuel, I think it's a printing mistake, Golas Shmuel, but we're in that Golas, is external, is internal. Externally, the Chazer sticks out of his hooves. Externally, they look proper and upright. The Arabs look very tznius externally, and externally they're very religious. But internally, there's no sense of a wholesome sense of midas, taras hanefesh. That's the midah of Milos Geir. That's missing. And in the last goals, that's missing. And it says so beautifully, Zesha Kosev, Toiva Tziparnon Shel Rishonim. The nails of the earlier generation are better, Mikreson Shel Achroinim, from the stomachs of the later generation. That's what the Gemara says. In other words, the earlier generation is the smallest person in the early generation is better than the greatest one of the. But what he's saying, it means that Tziparnon, the first Golas, the Rishonim, their problems was on the external. They were better than the kreson, the internal issues that we have. So that's very appropriate for the situation we're in, to understand that what we need to work on is internally we should be wholesome and complete, and the external will come from that. So, to make sure you get a chance to hear about Scheiner, so I'll just end off here. What I do with my paper here, I lost it. Anyways, so the morale ends off with another thought which I think is very important, so I don't want to leave that out. Another paper, you'll find it. There we go. So the morale ends off like this. Another difference between the first Mikdash and the second Mikdash is that the first Mikdash was connected, I printed out a lot of it here on the bottom, in Netzach Yisrael, was connected the Adam HaSholom, the person himself. And when the person was attacked, when he brought Tumah onto himself with Gilui Arayah, Shvichas Damim, so then that caused we're not connected to Shalom, it caused the Beis HaMikdash to leave. The second Beis HaMikdash, he says, wasn't possible to exist based on the chusim of the person himself. It didn't connect with the person. It connected with Klal Yisrael as a whole, with Knesset Yisrael. Knesset Yisrael, this is what the Maral says, means that this person does a Gemilas Chesed. This person learns. Everybody has milos, and they put it into, you put it into an account. Klal Yisrael has an account, which is called Klal Yisrael. The beauty of Klal Yisrael, that is what the Scheiner was able to connect itself with. It wasn't kol kach b'mayla. Lo yahaya beis hamikdash sheni doima la'adam shu shalom mitzad kol kach chaysav. Lo mashu yesh koichas hamuchulakim v'kol echad u'malas v'shem he didn't have. Rak mitzad sheyesh nefesh, and he says that kenefesh hi achas, the nefesh is all one. V'makash v'kol kol koichas kulam. Ki koichas hanefesh heim harbi miyoy. There are many different facets to Klal Yisrael. And all these koichas hanefesh together create a Yisrael, Klal Yisrael. And that's what the Scheiner was able to connect with. And as soon as we weren't able to keep that connection, we were involved in Sinas Chinam, so that fell apart. Sinas Chinam, Tama HaKol B'chlal. The Kololius of Klal Yisrael was destroyed. The first Beis HaMikdash was destroyed by the Adam Prati, because the Scheiner was able to dwell by the person himself. The second Beis HaMikdash wasn't like that. From this tragedy that we're in, after the Shears of Lil Nishmas, the 3 boys that were killed, right after that tragedy, Klal Yisrael came together. And I'm sure everyone heard the story. It was printed that Rabbi Schechter, that he was on a plane going to Eretz Yisrael to visit with the families, Ashlichas from the White Shul, Farakaway, and he gets on the plane, and there was a non-religious person sitting next to him. And the stewardess came over to him, "Where are you going? What are you doing?" And she was so misspelled, she made an announcement on the plane that here's a rabbi going to visit the families to give chizuk. And the whole plane was giving me ashkayach. It was a very warm feeling. And the person sitting next to him said, "I want to also do something. I want to put on those black boxes you're putting on. I just don't have any in Seattle where I come from, but I want to put it on." Helped him put it on. And he says, I would like to accept this mitzvah in their merit. But I just don't have it in Seattle. So there was a Satmar Chassid sitting in the next seat behind. He says, "If you accept upon yourself to do it, I'll mail it to you." And he took down his number and mailed it to him. Took down his address. This is what Mordechai gave us a dose, a test. And Baruch Hashem, Klal Yisrael is coming together on this. We should keep it up, and we should recognize each other's milas, because every person at Klal Yisrael has something what to give, and we have to gain from each other, and that will create this Knesset Yisrael that will be able to bring back the third Beis HaMikdash.